Hi everyone, I'm Gary Watson from Mainland Broadcasting in Nelson, New Zealand. If you have an issue or a subject you would like to see broadcast on Issues, then please drop us an email at issues@7-media.net and we'll see what we can do. If you have an issue that you believe is of interest to the wider community and would like to appear as a guest on the program, we'd love to hear from you.
You've been through quite a lot one way and another through your lives. Have you individually or together considered suicide?
No.
Why?
We've got more to live for than we've got to die for.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's a thought that just pops into your head and you always think, oh, for goodness sake, pull your head in. I always tell myself, that's the funny thing because I don't want to be dead. But obviously there must be a part of me somewhere that thinks maybe it should be. I don't know.
Life's what you make it. You've got to get out and have a laugh and pull people's legs, which we used to do. Being in the backcountry farm.
Oh, look, humour is the key. I mean, however awful things are, there always is, a slightly humorous slant to it. For me, I mean, even if it's black humour.
Having been born a fifth generation to the land, farming was a natural thing that we took on. We took over from Mum and Dad, and when they got to close, I think, to their 70s, and we farmed for 46 years on the family farm, and that was my aim when I left there to come here, was to keep the farm going, even though it wasn't profitable at the latter end of my term there. We were just farming it away, in other words. The prices would be that fluctuating. You buy in calves and they'd be dear, and by the time they're ready to go in 18 months, 2 years' time, the price of beef would be down, and wool was the same. We used to rely on the wool for income. Of a latter year, it was just useless. It was actually costing us for time. We mustered the sheep in off the hills and had to do all the work over the year. To get mount, we got off the wool. In fact, one year I got a bill for $2. So this is the trouble. You have a disaster like that and 650 ewes, heavy and lamb, all dead. Well, you've got no income for several years. And you've just got to weather the storm. You can't buy anything, fertilisers or anything to really push the production or do anything, which is the main thing with farming. You just had to sit there, and it's been the downturn and everything. It just gets at you. I reckon I've gone through that times. That I just felt, what the hell am I doing here working? As Francis will tell you, I work 7 days a week, non-stop, and if you added up the hours I did, I did 9 or 10 in a week, because I could go and I could go contract baling and things at nights. Loose and hay has to be done at nights, and I've been known to work 25 hours in a day. Well, that's getting into things. One's a bit shy and the other one's too outspoken, I know.
Yeah, we know.
Well, we'll hear from the shy one. So tell me about what happened with your son.
Well, he was the third son, so he decided to get a job off farm because the other ones were taking it over, sort of thing. He did an apprenticeship in carpentering and he got through. And then he was living with Karen, and then they got married. But they would come up every weekend because they loved the farm, and Karen would say, he's grumpy, he won't talk to me. And we didn't sort of pick it up enough. But in the end, of course, 13 months into the marriage, Karen left, and that upset the apple cart. Owen, I had to take him to Nelson, to Noah too. He got locked in a room by himself and nobody could see him for about 3 weeks. All he wanted to do was kill himself. And I felt it wasn't a case of if, it was a case of when. Because he came home, they sent him home on a promise to the psychologist that he would come back on Monday for the weekend. I thought, how stupid are you? Anyway, I had to drive my car right up to the gun cupboard. He was a carpenter, he could have got in it, I'm sure, but to stop him even opening that cupboard while he was home. He eventually got over that trip, and he came back and he lived by himself for a while, and then he got a flatmate in. One saviour was he didn't mind going to work. He always got up and went to work. It didn't matter if he'd been at the hospital the night before because he'd taken alcohol and pills and had his stomach washed out. He still went to work. He got a knife one day. He always rang us and said, I've got a knife, I'm going to kill myself. This was one weekend. So this time I had to sign the paper and they had to go back to Nelson. It took a long time, but eventually he came back. But every time he rang up, I cringed. He was on a hunger strike. I haven't eaten, I can't go to work today. I haven't eaten for so many hours, and all this sort of stuff. He tried every trick in the book. He eventually got over the stage where I thought, well, yeah, you're not going to kill yourself, but you always told someone before you did something. One day he came up to the farm and he took a gun back, and then, of course, he rang me from town and said, I've got a gun. Oh, great. So I rang the cops. That wasn't very helpful. In the very end, it was tough love. I said, well, that's not my fault, Owen. You get on with it. And he apparently rang his sister and said, oh, Mum doesn't love me anymore. But after that, he picked up.
To get out of it, once you go into that depression, is a long, long way and damn hard on everyone.
For me, it was watching, I think the Hoggets going that's the only time that I'm aware that we have sold Hoggets, and that was just devastating because Ron and I had worked for years lifting the production and tightening the sheep breed up to how we wanted, and then to see your young stock go, that was a pretty hard day. We had a young bank manager coming out of the drought who was not very helpful and just kept putting pressure on, wanting 5-year budgets, and it was a very difficult time, and Ron got to the point that he didn't want to cope with him and I was trying to deal with him, and in the end he got me in a corner, and luckily we had an extremely compassionate and caring accountant, and I rang him and he took it over and sorted him, and we got our needs met, and the next year we had this is 4 and 5 years out from the drought, we had a humdinger of a year and we were all back square again. I come from a family that's been challenged. My father was killed when I was 15. I had a brother commit suicide when I was 21. And Ron was with me through the suicide, and probably our first shock as adults was Ron getting lung cancer in his early 40s. And I think in a way that has helped us cope since, because you dig deep and you realise that if you come through something like that and you still have each other, if people can just realise that having their family and having their spouse
supersedes a lot of other things, material things in life. I probably found it harder in that I was dealing with the farm with Ron, the 4 teenagers, and because Ron wasn't well enough to go out, I wasn't getting my social needs met, possibly. I did carry on. I was involved with guiding, and Ron encouraged me to carry on with that to try and keep my life a little bit in perspective.
You could say that we were depressed during the drought, but
It wasn't to the point that we needed a doctor's
no.
intervention. We were able to talk it through between ourselves and manage that.
Fran, tell me who you are and what you do.
Oh, my name's Fran Halford, and I'm a doctor at Nelson Hospital Emergency Department.
Okay, just do it again and as though it's not a joke.
Oh no, this is going to be a challenge, I can tell. I mean, we kind of aren't at the bottom of the cliff, actually, because the poor paramedics and the police are really at the bottom of the cliff because, you know, they see so many more suicides than I do because they see the people that did it, right? So the people who've come to me have taken a swerve off the bottom of the cliff and they've somehow miraculously survived. So people are often very upset when they discover that they're alive. Some people, conversely, are very repentant, you know, seeing this as an opportunity to have a second chance in life, are very grateful that they're alive. But the majority are just too sleepy or out of it to express anything to me other than, really. I mean, there's suicide in my family, you know. My uncle killed himself. And all my family suffer from, you know, or not all, but a lot of my family suffer from major depressive illness and have been institutionalised. And, you know, so it's this Celtic melancholia. Somehow I've inherited my dad's genes on that one. So I've got this perverse reaction where the worse things get, the more cheerful I get. Dealing with this part of society that's kind of quite hidden away, really. No one really talks about it. It gives me a lot of humility and a lot of gratitude for my life and just how good it is. And also insight into how easily you can fall off the perch. Yeah. And I think we've all thought at some time or other, it's just too hard, you know. Death would be easier than this. And looked at that tree and thought, I could just drive into that tree, you know. Or, you know, I mean, I think everyone, if they're honest, has had that feeling.
I used to wish that trees would fall on me and kill me. I used to wish cars would run off the road and take me out. It's hard to think back now and just remember how bad it really, really was.
You have the weirdest thoughts, like you'll be driving down the road and suddenly you might think, oh, I could just, if there's a truck coming towards you, I could just drive into that and it'll be over.
There's no book on how to recognise, how to assist if there is a problem.
I always knew when I was getting quite deeply depressed because my breathing became shallow and I couldn't go and take a deep breath. And I never saw the sun. The sun was never out. It didn't matter if it was middle or summer. To me, the sun was never out when I was depressed.
Mainly the ability to lead a normal life that fits in with other people, and that can be timing issues, it can be sleeping more, seeking seclusion, not eating in a normal pattern, not interacting with people, ostracising people.
Being depressed is depressing, yes.
It is for other people too, I think. A person once said to me one day, God, it's depressing being around you sometimes. I think, yeah, maybe it's hard to be enthusiastic when you're depressed.
I would cry out loud when I was in the car, when I was driving down back roads where I knew there was nobody around, no houses. I would cry and scream and scream out loud, "Why are you gone? It's not fair. Why can't she come back?" All this sort of stuff. And I thought I was crazy until I happened to be sitting on a plane beside another lady that had lost her son. And she said that she did the same thing. She had an area that she had to drive over a hill to get to her place in the country, and it was about 4 or 5 k's long, and she said that it was just once she got to the hill, it was her screaming time, and she used to scream all the way over the hill. So I thought, well, I'm not crazy. If I am, there's other crazy people out there like me.
Most of the time I just want to be alone, and I can't be bothered with anything. All the things I love doing, I just can't do when I'm depressed. All my artwork. If I'm depressed, the hand won't work. It sounds really odd, but depression's pretty bad. I have no motivation at all when I'm depressed.
So
yeah.
what do you do when you're depressed?
Read, whinge to myself, good job, I'm alone. Cuddle the cats. Cats are good for cuddles. Just hang out by myself and just be a boring old fart, I guess.
How happy are you with the quality of your digital prints? And how safe are those precious memories stored on your computer? Hi, I'm Simon from Nelson City Cameras. Quality 6x4 prints are easy using one of our 8 photo kiosks. Join our loyalty club and print 30 photos or more, and the photos are only 39 cents each. As a member, you also get 50% off enlargements and other great benefits. But wait, there's even more. Our user-friendly kiosks allow you to create photo books, photo gifts, and even canvases. If you need a digital camera, binocular, tripod, we have a great range and selection, and our advice is free. We have a fantastic range of photo albums and picture frames to suit your needs and your budget. So print your memories, don't hide them, relive them. Come in and meet the team at Nelson City Cameras, Nelson's most experienced camera shop. 25 years serving Nelson.
Hi, I'm John McMillan at the Nelson Power Tool Centre. We have great prices on all the top quality brands of power tool. Tools and equipment at our showroom, 146 Tahunanui Drive in Nelson. The Nelson Power Tool Centre, the specialists that stand behind and service what we sell.
Discover the Belgrove Tavern just 20 minutes south of Richmond on State Highway 6. A restaurant, functions, weddings, barbecue, garden bar with lots of room for kids. Come in, see us.
Oh, to be healthy.
Lifestyle, diet and exercise, complemented with quality supplements, can provide you the insurance vital for your natural health and well-being. With over 10 years professional experience making some of New Zealand's most trusted nutritional supplement brands, visit the O2B Healthy Factory Outlet in Wakatu Industrial Estate. Over 200 supplements to choose from, free on-site parking, no middleman.
Oh, to be healthy. Caring for you naturally.
There's been quite a lot of farm suicides.
Yes.
What's your attitude to them? How do you feel about those people who have committed suicide?
Well,
they're lucky they've left a mess.
Yes.
They're out of it.
Words I was just trying to think of. I honestly think that they go there and they commit suicide. Everything for them is cleared up, but what they leave behind is a disaster. How is the wife supposed to get and work a farm when she's got other children? She can't do it. The farm's got to be sold. Then she's got to be able to get the kids to school. She's got to be able to change schools. And there's that many things that come into it once it does happen. It's not just the funeral.
If they thought about it, it would be totally different. No, they certainly don't think of the devastation that they leave to everybody. Everybody that's known them has an effect from the one thing that they've done.
I feel they have got trapped within until they are.
They don't see the wood for the trees.
They're unable to see their way clear, and they think they've found the way out of their situation.
Well, I think they get to the point they can't see their situation. I've tried really hard to understand it, and I don't think there should be any stigma, and there should be full support for the families left behind, because they truly are the ones that have to deal with it.
We had planned a trip to Italy, and we never made it together. But I had friends who were going at the same time, and they said, look, come. So I did go, and I realised that when I came back, I was not only going to come back to an empty house by myself, but it was also going to be the 3rd anniversary of Marcus's death. And I thought this is going to be a pretty bad time for me, so I just threw loads of seeds in the garden before I left, a lot of my veggies and things, so that when I came back I had this huge lot of stuff happening in the garden, lots of weeds too, of course, but it was something to get me outside and doing things. Just a little project, and it worked.
You learn to live with it. You learn to live you learn to live alongside it. It's like you learn to live with your leg gone and your arm gone, and you function with the parts of your body parts gone, and that's what it's like. For me, grief, depression, it's like living with parts of your body gone. You know it's gone, but you function, and you can function quite well. But it's gone. My leg's gone, my arm's gone, it's gone.
I was on antidepressants, but they make me feel dizzy all the time. Well, not all the time. Quite often I would feel quite dizzy, like you've had a few. And I suspected that that's what was causing it, so I went off them and I came right, and then I went back on them. When I went back on them, it was worse than ever, so I just stopped them. Now I don't take any antidepressants. Just take vitamin V tablets. V?
V? What the hell's V? I've never heard of vitamin V.
Vitamin B tablets. When I remember to take them, that is. I kept having thoughts about killing my favourite cat. That's how weird it was. My favourite cat, and it was devastating. Got to the point where I was scared that I was going to walk in my sleep into her room and kill her. So I went to the doctor crying and said that I was going nuts because I thought I was. And I told him what had been going on. He said, no, you're not nuts, you're just depressed. But boy, was I depressed. I rang Outreach, and a lady came up and she helped me. Well, she gave me a few pointers on how to deal with my feelings and my thoughts and try to steer them away onto other things. Because like I said, if you start dwelling on it all the time, you just go down the gurgler. So you've got to, as soon as the thoughts start coming, swap them for something good. Watch TV, anything to get your mind off it. Yeah. See, my husband was involved in a murder-suicide, so that was movie material. There was everything in there: sex, violence. Dear. But no, not drug related. But on the day he was killed, Mum and my brother and I went and picked it. We were heading down there to the house to pick some stuff up, and Shane was supposed to have left the key out and he hadn't. And my brother was just breaking into the house when the helicopter arrived in the paddock. And sounds funny at the moment. At the time, it wasn't. and all these guys in black got out, and they run across the back paddock from our house and up through the pines up to the cow shed. And I knew then that Shane was dead. You just think, wow, that's not something you see every day, is it? No. As you know, your whole world is turned upside down. Life was completely different. You kind of feel lost, but at the same time, I knew that I had to be strong for the kids, and so that's what you do. You be strong for the kids, and you kind of stuff it in the background. Although you think you're dealing with it, I was sort of dealing with it on the top, but I was still stuffing a lot behind. And when the kids left home, all the stuff I'd stuffed behind came up and kicked my backside. Yeah. And I got really, really depressed. I actually thought I was going nuts. But what was happening was all the grief was coming back, the grief about what happened to him. But I've been stuffing it, like I said, stuffing it down and not acknowledging it. Yeah. But that's the worst thing for me. I know if I don't deal with it, it'll come back to haunt me. Yeah.
We had to go up and shift some sheep, so Brian only had a two-wheel motorbike at that stage, and he had Stephanie, the eldest one, in front of him on the bike, and then I was behind him on the bike, and then I had the baby in the pushchair behind me. I put my hands behind to so we didn't lose him, and off we went up the road. I mean, we were the only ones that lived there. It was only a country road, so we pretty much knew if anyone was coming in to our place. But you wouldn't do it today, would you? It would be very much frowned upon. And because we weren't silly, I mean, we just went very, very slowly.
No more than about 30 miles an hour.
Oh. No, the dogs had to keep up. I doubt whether it was that fast.
I had this big heart bypass. That took a fair bit of getting over. It took a lot of getting over. It's quite a devastating type of thing, really.
In what way?
Just the drugs, and you cut up here and they've sewn you up inside with, I think, the number 8 wire, for, you know, the old number 8 wire thing.
Oh, he went from very active to very inactive, and couldn't do a lot, couldn't do anything. And he did start coming right, and then he started going backwards, and that's when we found out that he had a lung problem. So they both had the same bad symptoms.
You know, some people come out of this, having this big operation, in a week they're away good. Others a fortnight, a month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 1 year, 2 years. Some never come out of it. They just flop, you know. And I was determined I wasn't going to be like that, so I decided I just got to keep myself very positive. I did find it hard when I first came home from the hospital. My wife was going out to some sewing class. She was learning quilting, and she went out every Monday night, and I'd be left at home on my own. It's a bit quiet, nothing much on TV other than I used to get on the telephone, ring up our relations, have a yarn with somebody, and after a while I started to come right, you know.
He's good. It was me that had to learn to handle it. He was just so slow, and I've always been fairly fast and doing far too much, and I just couldn't cope with having to stop and wait He didn't like me tearing around. I suppose he knew I was doing it because he couldn't do it. And that's a bit sad, really. I told myself, this is our life now, and to come to terms with it. And
You've got to try and forget everything, have a laugh, yeah, and you get people around you. Don't shut people out of you. Get your friends around, or try and get people coming in to see you.
FAV Mobile Solutions are the scooter, walker and wheelchair specialists for the Nelson region. Call in and see the huge range available. Take one for a free test drive and pick up your free booklet guide. They also provide a rescue service if you ever get a puncture or a flat battery. Come in and see Robin and the friendly team at FAV Mobile Solutions in the Richmond Free Car Park opposite the Old Town Hall.
Why would you want to pay as much as $1,000 for a single bed mattress when you can buy a high quality locally made mattress like this for as little as $220? And a queen size mattress could cost you in excess of $3,000, but at Nelson Beds you could have a mattress like this as low as $425. So why would you go out and spend a fortune on your child's bedroom when you can come to Nelson Beds and buy a complete single mattress and base set, a 7-drawer Scotch chest, a headboard and a 3-drawer bedside cabinet for as little as $979? So call and discuss our custom manufacturing options and local after sales service at Nelson Beds, Nelson's only bedding manufacturer.
Discover the Belgrove Tavern just 20 minutes south of Richmond on State Highway 6. A restaurant, functions, weddings, barbecue, garden bar with lots of room for kids. Come in, see us.
Hi, Gus Bulens of Gustav's Clothing for Men on Trafalgar Street. I'd like to invite all the people of Nelson, Tasman and international and local visitors to come and check out our brand new refurbished store, which is now chock full of the latest international and New Zealand brands. From France, Lacoste; from the UK, Ben Sherman; RM Williams; from Sweden, Gant; from the US, Calvin Klein jeans; and from New Zealand, Rembrandt suits, jackets and trousers; Cutler, Berlin and snowy fine merino knitwear. So come on into Gustav's on Trafalgar Street and we'll look after you.
Nelson Tire Center. Great prices, great service. Buy your own Bryford trailer. All types, all sizes. See Colin Douglas for your tires and batteries.
What was the major event that has impacted upon your lives?
The suicide of our son.
Yeah, the loss. I spoke to him one day. I knew he was hurting, and I said to him at the time, don't worry. There's girls are like buses. There's another one coming along. Don't you two will come. Don't. But I could see it was still hurting him, and he just pushed that off to one side. Just carry on with the day's driving.
He carried on with his work, and everything just carried on as normal.
His ex-fiancée at that stage paraded the new boyfriend, and in a hotel, local hotel, on New Year's Eve. Couldn't have been worse, and we feel at that point, with a bit of alcohol on board, and it comes back to alcohol, he, according to his mates, quietly left the hotel. And they thought he was going to just cool off. I mean, they were not alarmed at all. And he proceeded to
sleep.
Yeah. He was in the place I worked too. I mean, I cross it every day. I pass the spot every day, and there he was. And we checked. He'd left a note. Rang the local police and knew the officers pretty well, so they were extraordinarily helpful as well. So yeah.
Is that you or me? It's the bread maker. Oh, it's the bread maker.
What was it?
Bread maker.
Oh, jeez.
How long is it going to go on like that for?
Stop. Surely. That?
About 5, that'll go, and then it'll just go like that, and then 5 minutes later it'll stop.
And here I found myself in the situation that my wife sitting out in the car waiting, and I'm on sticks, and on crutches, and I had to virtually, there was no easy way. I mean, I just had to go and tell her. The local contractor wanted him to carry his coffin on the truck, his own truck.
There was just wall-to-wall people. This room was full of flowers. I dreaded seeing the florist come up the driveway. That's when everything started to really compact, because Andrew used to come in the back, he'd park his truck on the back street and come in the back door, and I kept waiting for that back door to open, and it didn't, and that's where it got really hard for me. And the thought of going out to meetings and things like that became quite strained. We just wanted to be at home.
Yep.
We just didn't want to
We sort of went
mix.
into the show. And
yeah, we sort of, that was the hardest part, just having the motivation to keep going. Because he's gone, but things carry on. The mail still keeps coming. People that don't know will come in and say, "Hi, how's Andrew? What's he up to?"
Friends were variable. Friends who I thought would have been not supportive were in fact incredibly supportive, and some who I thought would have been supportive weren't. We had one family we had very close ties with for a long time because they had 2 boys as well who were the same age as our boys, and we never saw them, and in fact they actively avoided us, which was very hard to take.
People avoid you. They often don't know how to cope with death, and they avoid you. So it was easier just to confront them, and once they've actually spoken to you the first time, they're fine. But people will walk across to the other side of the street rather than actually have to front you.
My heart goes out to all relatives of someone with a really, bad depressive disorder, because it's just so hard to know how to help. And a lot of these people, they're at the end of the road, right? They've been working with this person as a family member for years, trying to nurse them through it. And so some people, it's kind of resignation, oh, here we go again. Some people are furious with their family member and furious with life and the world, and everything seems so unfair, and I really understand that. Some people are very sad and take it very personally, can feel a lot of grief.
Yeah, I used to get extremely angry with people that would come up to me and say, "Oh, time's a great healer." I'd really want to turn around and whack them. Time's a great healer. That's just rubbish.
And I would get advice like, "I know you don't want to hear this, but it's going to get better." I could have just donged them on the head, and I wanted to say, and I never did say, "Have you ever lost a child to suicide?"
There are certain months of the year that are a lot harder than others, May being one of them. When you've got Mother's Day and you've got his birthday, and we have an anniversary, so the month of May is a bit difficult.
So for other people listening to this, who are depressed or considering suicide, any advice for them?
Don't.
In a word.
Don't do it.
To think of the people around them, the closest people around them.
What is it going to do to them?
Yeah.
What is it going to do to the people that love them dearly?
don't lock yourself away and dwell on it, because that's not good. If you've got friends, get them to come to you or go to them. Ring outreach.
Well, first of all, realise you're not alone. Everyone has hard times. Everyone has really bad times. But there comes there's a point where it becomes overwhelming and it's interfering with your life, and you need to get some help sooner rather than later. And it really is okay. And there's this kind of staunch, she'll be right attitude in this country that I think is great to some extent. But there's some point where you can say, I'm not coping, I'm not doing well, I feel at risk, I can't carry on like I am. And probably the first person to go to might be a friend or a family member, or just talk to somebody. It doesn't matter, you don't have to make an appointment, just grab someone and just talk to someone as a first step. And then, your GP is a good port of call, because there's a lot of free counselling and a lot of support out there available, and all you have to do is kind of press the button. And there are so many people in this community who want to help you. So probably the GP is the first one to go to. You could call a counsellor, there's lots in Yellow Pages, and you can just pop along to see one of those. And there's a lovely group of people in Nelson Region. And there's all sorts of other avenues of getting help. If you're really desperate, a lot of people just turn up to A&E. And I'm not saying do that, but at the end of the day, we'd rather see you than not see you if you're going to top yourself, because that's why we're there.
Try and go for a few new interests. Be with other people. Try and forget your life just for a short while. If you can get your brain thinking about other things, then you think, I didn't think about myself for half an hour or an hour.
Try and forget everything. Have a laugh. Yeah, and get people around you. Don't shut people out of you. Get your friends around, or try and get people coming in to see you.
Go and see your doctor and get counselling, because it's just such a horrible place to be in, and the sooner you can get out of it, the better. And if you do need medication for a while, take it. But not without counselling, I don't think. I think you really need to work things through.
Whatever makes you feel good, do it. Oh, within reason. Within reason.
Well, that's Issues for another week. I hope you can join us at the same time next week when we'll cover another subject on the Issues program. In the meantime, if you have an issue or a subject you would like to see broadcast on the program, then please drop us an email at issues@a2.org.nz. at 7-media.net.
Hi, Gus Bulens of Gustav's Clothing for Men on Trafalgar Street. I'd like to invite all the people of Nelson, Tasman and international and local visitors to come and check out our brand new refurbished store, which is now chock full of the latest international and New Zealand brands. From France, Lacoste. From the UK, Ben Sherman. R.M. Williams. From Sweden, Gant. From the US, Calvin Klein jeans. And from New Zealand, Rembrandt suits, jackets and trousers. Cutler, Berlin and snowy fine merino knitwear. So come on into Gustav's on Trafalgar Street and we'll look after you.
The majority of information in our life comes to us through our vision. With only one set of eyes to last our lifetime, it's important that you look after them. For over 20 years, Carrington Eye Care has led the way in providing the Nelson Tasman region with professional eye care. Our team are committed to providing you and your family with the highest standard of eye care. As part of this commitment at Carrington Eye Care, we recommend Crizal lenses. Crizal is a revolutionary lens which repels dust and fingerprints. This means it's easier to clean and stays cleaner longer. Visit us at our Nelson, Richmond and practices and ask about our Crizal satisfaction guarantee.
From small cars to trucks to commercial vehicles, we have all the leading brands of tyres, including Bridgestone. Our local professional qualified team serve the entire region 24/7. Tasman Tyre Treads, serving Richmond, Motueka and Golden Bay.
Hi, my name's Ian Mortimer. Mortimer Auto Upholstery is your one-stop shop for all your upholstery needs. We do car and boat interiors, boat canopies, ute tonneau covers, canvas and PVC fabrication. Call in and see us in Oxford Mews, 72 Oxford Street, Richmond.
The Lowell Observatory, Flagstaff, Arizona. In 1930, the outermost planet Pluto is discovered through this telescope. Astronomer Clyde Tombaugh makes the find. He's 24 at the time. Tombaugh does it by systematically photographing the sky on large glass plates. He snaps each piece of sky twice, several nights apart. Then, with this blinker, he compares the two images. If they're identical and nothing jumps, he's not interested, for only objects within the solar system move against the background stars. After 6 months of blinking, the dot that jumps is Pluto. Pluto and its moon Charon have a combined mass of less than 1/5 of our moon. Little frontier worlds of methane and water frozen in the outer gloom. On average, compared to Earth, they're 40 times farther from the Sun. Far beyond is the Oort cloud, a swarm of freezing debris that shrouds the solar system like a sphere. Closer in is more icy trash, the Kuiper belt. Pluto, with its wide, eccentric orbit, may well be a member of this belt and not a true planet. Like the comets that visit us from Kuiper and Oort, Pluto is a mixture of ices. This is Comet Hyakutake in 1996. Its nucleus is a snowball 3 kilometers wide, but the tail stretches for millions of kilometers. As a comet nears the Sun, it grows two tails. The yellow one is fine dust, the blue, gas. The gas tail detaches occasionally in the gusting solar wind. It's that wind, plus the pressure of solar radiation, that blows the tails away from the Sun. With the solar disk masked, time-lapse of a comet rounding the Sun. Here, comets plunging into the Sun. Comets are the vagabonds of the solar system. Some travel on random elliptical orbits, hurtling among the planets. Kamikaze comets die in the Sun. Others just graze it. Jupiter plays havoc with comets. This one is captured from its orbit around the Sun by the pull of the giant planet. The comet, a fragile mix of ice and grit, is drawn within 50,000 kilometers. It pays the price. Jupiter tears it into more than 20 fragments, and it's just the beginning. The comet, named Shoemaker-Levy 9, is to stage the celestial show of the century. It's to plunge into Jupiter, carpet-bombing the soupy atmosphere. The date, July 1994. The fragments create shockwaves as big as Earth. The moment of an impact. Lower left, a plume shoots over 1,000 kilometers high. The most famous comet is Halley. It visits our skies once every 76 years. When he sees it in 1301, the Italian painter Giotto makes Halley his Star of Bethlehem. The Bayeux Tapestry depicts the Norman conquest of England in 1066. The comet is overhead. On Halley's last visit, the first of the space age, we visit it. A craft aptly named Giotto is launched by the Europeans. It's the most ambitious of an international armada. For Giotto is to fly right through the inner coma, the cloud that surrounds the nucleus. It's 1986, and there is the nucleus, shaped like a peanut, 16 kilometers by 9. Vaporized by the heat of the sun, gas and dust vent from cracks in the surface. Glare obscures the view, but Halley's crust is carbon black. The coma, fed by the jets, is well over 1 million kilometers across, bigger even than the sun. These are the icy planetesimals of the Kuiper Belt, a disk of debris just beyond the planets. It's from here that Halley originates, dislodged perhaps by a twitch in the gravitational interplay between the Sun and its neighboring stars. Halley is lucky. As solar gravity draws it inward, the comet swings round the Sun rather than into the Sun. But Halley is now captive, trapped in an orbit that takes it out beyond Neptune, then back to the Sun, again and again. Halley has an orbit of 76 years. Longer period comets arrive from farther out, comets like Hale-Bopp, the most spectacular of the late 20th century. (1997) is the year of Hale-Bopp. Here in close-up, the spinning nucleus, 40 kilometers wide, swirling gas and dust. They stream from the hemisphere heated by the sun, switching on and off as the nucleus rotates. At its closest to the Sun, Hale-Bopp sheds 1,000 tons of dust every second. But in the chill of the outer solar system, comets revert to type. They become tailless and inert. Historically, comets always have tails, and they're linked to death and destruction. But fear of comets isn't all nonsense. To this day, they are cause for concern. Had Hale-Bopp struck Earth, we'd all be dead. But that's another story. The spacecraft Stardust on a close encounter with comet Wild 2. Like sticky flypaper, this instrument is to collect samples as Stardust travels through the coma of the comet. But unlike Giotto, which relayed only data from Halley, Stardust is to send its samples home. Insulated in a capsule, resistant to a fiery re-entry through Earth's atmosphere, a precious package from beyond the planets. Retrieved from a soft landing in the polar wastes, these samples of Wild 2 will be unique. The first chance for scientists to examine particles unchanged since the formation of the solar system. The Oort cloud stretches 1/3 of the way to the nearest star. Its messengers are comets.
Hi, I'm John McMillan at the Nelson Power Tool Centre. We have great prices on all the top quality brands of power tool. Tools and equipment at our showroom, 146 Tahunanui Drive in Nelson. The Nelson Power Tool Centre, the specialists that stand behind and service what we sell.
The majority of information in our life comes to us through our vision. With only one set of eyes to last our lifetime, it's important that you look after them. For over 20 years, Carrington Eye Care has led the way in providing the Nelson Tasman region with professional eye care. Our team are committed to providing you and your family with the highest standard of eye care. As part of this commitment at Carrington Eye Care, we recommend Crizal lenses. Crizal is a revolutionary lens which repels dust and fingerprints. This means it's easier to clean and stays cleaner longer. Visit us at our Nelson, Richmond and practices and ask about our Crizal satisfaction guarantee.
How happy are you with the quality of your digital prints? And how safe are those precious memories stored on your computer? Hi, I'm Simon from Nelson City Cameras. Quality 6x4 prints are easy using one of our 8 photo kiosks. Join our loyalty club and print 30 photos or more, and the photos are only 39 cents each. As a member, you also get 50% off enlargements and other great benefits. But wait, there's even more. Our user-friendly kiosks allow you to create photo books, photo gifts, and even canvases. If you need a digital camera, binocular, tripod, we have a great range and selection, and our advice is free. We have a fantastic range of photo albums and picture frames to suit your needs and your budget. So print your memories, don't hide them, relive them. Come in and meet the team at Nelson City Cameras, Nelson's most experienced camera shop. 25 years serving Nelson. Hi everyone, I'm Gary Watson from Mainland Television in Nelson. I'd like to invite you to join our news team for a roundup of news from the Nelson Tasman region on Sky Channel 83 at 4:30 p.m. on Saturdays and 9:30 p.m. on Sundays. We'll show you what's happening in the Nelson Tasman region, the latest local weather, community notices and events happening in our region. Our weekly news roundup is broadcast throughout the Nelson region on UHF Digital TV with the support from New Zealand On Air and repeated on Sky Channel 83 in conjunction with our good friends at Face TV.